Hello, Model Railroad community. This is David, F&B Railroad, and I'm bringing you layout expansion update number 28. Now, this update's a little bit late. I had computer issues. My hard drive was getting filled up. So I took my computer, had it repaired. I actually had a bigger hard drive put in. So now I have more space for my editing software and whatnot so I can do my movies. And that took up some time. Didn't make me happy, but here I am giving you an update. And in this update, I'm going to be building skeleton log cars. They're my version. They're a modernized log car. I didn't want to use flat cars, which is probably what they use today. I wanted to stick with the feeling of an older railroad, something that's been around for a while. I like to model the 60s, 70s, 80s, that time period. So I wanted to show that they've been around doing logging for a while, and the logging cars had gone through upgrades. And this is the upgrade that they have right now. This is what I felt was right and I needed for the layout to make it work. So let's get into this. So this is what we're going to be making. This is what I need to make for my logging area. These are my version of an updated skeleton car. It's what I want for my layout, and I'll show you how I built this car. Now I'll tell you, when I went and started making a skeleton log car, this was the first one I made. It was like this. It was all out of that I-beam that I use, which is a Evergreen product number 271 I-beam. And I made this whole car out of this. Fits this log set. Or no, it doesn't fit this log set. It fit a longer log set. But the problem I found with this was it was too light. So that was the first version. Then I started making this version, which is all enclosed. Looks like what I'm building now. And I filled it full of lead powder, but it still didn't have the weight I needed. They would still derail. So then I made this version. In this version, it just looks way out of scale on the end. It looks way too fat, too big. It had the weight, but it was just too heavy. So that's when I finally came up with this version, which has a lead core, but it doesn't look as fat on the end. And it's still as long as the first car. If you look at it overall length, it's about the same length, but I'm making the logs a little shorter so that they fit onto this, and there's some room on the ends, which you can see. When I put this on, you can see there's room for somebody on the ends of this. So that's the log car that I decided on, and I'll show you how I built it. So this is how I start the model. I got to encase this in plastic. So I start with my lead base, and I size up a piece of 20 thousandths by 3/16, 188. And I want this to be just a hair bigger than the piece. Cut it off, snap it. I'm using my squaring jig, and what I got is a piece of 10 thousandths plastic sheet, and I took a piece of parchment paper, folded it to put it in the corner. I'll set my plastic over top of it. And then what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to line this up with the edge, put it in place, and then take some of my magnets, put them in to hold everybody nice and square. Now, I'm going to take my glue, and I'll go in here, and I'll put a bead. And then I got a nail file, and I'm going to push down on it. Make sure it's making good contact. Getting a nice tight bond to the plastic, and I'll let that dry. Now that that has glued up and we got a good bond, take my lead core, I'm just going to go right up against it. Now I take another piece of that 20 thousandths by 188, and I'm going to start bending to follow this shape. So I'll just take it and bend it. Hold it up in there. Thumb against it, try and figure out the next bend. So then I bend the next one, come down to the next spot, bend that. Tighter. Got that coming off that end. Pretty tight in here, pretty tight there. Still a little loose there. That's bent. Tight there, tight there, tight there. Okay, that all seems pretty good. Give it a mark so it's a little long. Give it a score. Give it a snap. It all seems to fit pretty good. line this back up so it's within its piece. Plastic cement. Push it in. Bead. Hold it in there. Push it down into the plastic. Push it against the lead core. Weight on it. Let it sit and dry. So what I do now is I cut this out. Just cut right alongside the plastic. Break it out. And there you have one side completely covered. Now what I'll do is I'll trim this off. This one off. File it down. Do the same to the other end. Now I got two flat ends. File down. And then the next thing is to go back and glue it in. Set it down. Got our glue, our solvent. Nice bead right around it. Now we want to put a piece of parchment under there so we don't other side. And we'll let that dry, and that'll encase the whole piece of lead in plastic. Once this is done, I can give it a sand, clean it up, and get ready to do the ends. Now that these have set and dried, we're going to cut these off and trim them up and sand them. that. So now all I gotta do is file them down, smooth them out, get them ready for the next step. I don't know if you see that. But there's a little wrinkle right there in the plastic. Now I can fill that with putty if I want, but I think I'm just going to leave it there and have it be damage on an old car. So now the next step is to take this 20 by 20 rod. I want to make this look like an I-beam. So I'm going to take it, catch it there, and pull it down and attach it on that end, and then I'm going to do it again at the lower edge. So that's how I'm going to turn that into looking like an I-beam. We'll take some of this, some of the glue, pretty wet down there, and take this 20 by 20, set it right on the corner. Parchment paper, turn it over, press it down so it's even, press it in. Get a good bond. Now, pull it tight. Pull it loose too soon. Nice and tight, makes it nice and straight. Again, I'm going to flip it over, make sure I'm flat. In. Now I'm going to just nip it off. And we'll do the next one. Now I'm going to use my 1, 2, 3 block. Hold it down. Make sure I'm flat with everything. Push it in. Set up, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll pull it straight there across to the other side, and that'll give me my I-beam look. that off. And then I'll take my solvent and I'll run it right down between the two. Let it wick in. And bond those together. Okay, that's the end of part 1. This is going to be a 6-parter. I'm going to try and put these out once a week so you guys aren't waiting to see how this progresses along and see how the car comes out. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a little different than what I've been doing. It's not really anything on the layout. It's cars for the layout, but it's not the layout itself. And I do appreciate everybody who's watching. I really like it when you give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And what more can I say but thank you for watching and keep on modeling.